Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Thank you so much for checking out our PA Virtual Winter Camp. This is the second year we're doing this, and I hope you are enjoying your winter break so far. Hopefully, it's not too cold for you. I personally enjoy this time of year because it's the one time of year where having chocolate for breakfast is a good thing, as long as it's in a mug. But we have plenty of activities for you that will be coming up over this winter break, and we're actually going to start with a really fun one. Some of you may already know Miss Dajczak because you had class with her, but if not, she is one of our newest family members here at PA Virtual, and she's going to go into a interesting science experiment. So I'm just going to let her take over. By the way, if you saw, we had sent your parents an email. If you are the parent, that would be you, about the activity and what you would need. Since this is a video and you don't have it or you're forgetting something, please feel free to pause. We're not taking this down after this is done, after this day's done. You can watch it anytime. You can do it again. You can bring other family members in to do it as well. So the whole point is to have fun, enjoy yourself, and I am going to turn it over to Miss Dajczak.
Welcome to winter camp. I'm Ms. Dajczak, and I am so excited to share some cool experiments with ice. Ice? Yeah, ice. I don't know. It just seems like this frozen water. What's the big deal with ice? I mean, it's kind of cold and, well, it can be kind of wet, but what's the deal with ice? Let's check it out. These are ice cold facts. So there are two types of ice. Yeah, there's actually two types, did you know that? On Earth, of course. There's land ice and there's sea ice. Did you know that? Sea ice has more salt in it. That's right, from that salt water. Dry ice, yeah, you're probably sitting there saying, wait, I've heard of dry ice. What about dry ice? Well, dry ice is not made out of water. Yeah, I know. It's made of frozen carbon dioxide. Did you know that on one of Saturn's moons, there is a cryo volcano? Yeah, what's a cryo volcano? Well, that's a volcano that explodes with ice. Yeah, can you imagine that here on Earth if we had a cryo volcano? I wonder if you guys could even create something similar to it. Climatologists, that's people that study the weather, well, they study ice that is over 1,000 years old. Yeah, ice can actually hold tons of data, tons of information that gives us insight to the world thousands of years ago, including the type of air we were breathing. Before electricity, ice was actually cut from lakes and ponds and stored in deep houses called ice houses. And the first ice cube tray wasn't invented until 1933 by Guy Tingham. All right, so first up, we're going to experiment a little bit with ice and water. Well, do you think ice has the same property as water? Yeah? You do? Well, it does look the same. Well, let's test it out. You ready? Here's our first experiment. You are going to take, as listed in that materials list, you're going to take a glass of water. Look at that water conditioning. Do you see how clear this is? This is stunning. I had to scrub this glass 5 times until it looked like this.
Now, it doesn't matter if it's spring water or tap water, right?
It does not. No, just water. You're going to take one of those colored ice cubes that you prepared for class. And again, that doesn't matter what kind of water it is. And you're going to take one of just the plain colored cubes that you prepared. I'm going to take my yellow one. When we put that yellow ice cube in the water, and again, you can choose whichever color. Well, it looks a little bit different. If you look very closely, the colors of the yellow are actually, well, dropping. Now my ice does stay at the top, but why? You know, I could do something similar with oil. Take a look at that. Again, this would be regular oil. You could put, say, put a blue one this time. You can do whichever color you would like. water similar to oil? Look closely at that. Well, it floats. Almost. It's not floating at the top like my water. Oh, strange. Now, if I look closely in a little bit, I'm going to see that pieces of that blue are shooting down into that oil. Check that out. But at that time, the water from the ice cube is sinking to the bottom. Well, why isn't it doing the same thing as ice if water and ice are so similar? You can actually do some really neat experiments with this. If you take a glass of oil and you can use multiple colors, you will have all sorts of really neat droplets of water coming down into it. Almost like a lava lamp effect. You can certainly pause this video to add more cubes or make your glass of oil. So why does this happen? Well, let's check it out. The molecules in water are actually closer together, making it more dense, as in heavier. As the water freezes, it expands, and that's what brings those ice cubes up to the top when you play with your colored ice cubes. Next up, let's do some Fizzy primary color experiments. This is going to call for those ice cubes that had a teaspoon or tablespoon of baking soda in it with the food coloring. And we're gonna bring it on back over here. All right, so I'm going to use this giant container because, well, we're not really supposed to have a lot of water or fluids near our computers, because imagine all the bad things that could happen. So make sure when you're doing this experiment, keep your computer back just a little bit. All right, so I'm going to take, again, those ice cubes that had your baking soda in them. And I'm going to line up my blue. My red. And my yellow. Now, these are our primary colors. Pretty neat. And when I combine these primary colors, I can make, you guessed it, new colors. But what's the fun in that? You notice when you put your baking soda into that ice cube and let it freeze, it went to the top. You see that? Well, the top when I flip it over. I'm going to take that vinegar that was mentioned. I put it in, look at this. That's right, dollar store ketchup squeezer bottle. And this has our vinegar in it. And I'm going to squirt my vinegar on top of my ice cubes, and we'll see what happens. Now, when I do this, I'm going to make sure I concentrate it right at the two, and I'm going to see about those fizzy colors that are going to come together. I'm going to see if I can make a new color. See some bubbling? Do you see some chemical reactions going on here? There we go. So when my red and blue combine, I'm starting to get a little bit of purple over here. Let's see, I'm going to push this down a bit. Let's see if I can get some green with my yellow and my red. There we go. We have a little bit of green starting right over here from our yellow and our red. So I guess fun way to watch fizzing in ice form, squirting our vinegar onto our baking soda, watching that bubble. Again, keep this away from your computers, protect those computers. Pretty cool stuff. Let's learn a little bit more about that.
Now that's the same reaction that, maybe people have seen when they make volcanoes. They use the baking soda and vinegar, right?
Absolutely, yes, sir. That's definitely a favorite of our science experiments in kindergarten too, making that explosion. We could do that just with red. Hey, what a great idea. You know, we are talking about that moon over there on Saturn. I wonder if you could make your own cryo volcano with some red ice cubes, red ice cubes, and baking soda and vinegar. What a great idea. All right, let's take a peek here. So water, you know, when we look at water, it typically looks blue, right? Do you know why? Well, water absorbs colors in the red part of the light spectrum, and that leaves the blue color that we typically see. Next up, let's talk about painting with ice. Yeah, exactly. Painting with ice sounds a little cold, if you ask me. Well, let's check it out. You can do all sorts of things with your colored ice that you guys made. You could actually use it to write maybe sight words. You could use it to practice your addition facts in a nice, cold, fun way. 1 + 1. You could even make your own scenes or maybe your own tie-dye pictures using our colored ice. If you slide it around, we can make our own tie-dye. Maybe even your own wrapping paper. Well, that would be good for the holidays too. Here's a couple of those ideas. Forming your letters and numbers. My kindergartners, you would do well with this. Writing those sight words, writing out math facts, and painting pictures. All right, next up, let's talk about salt and ice. You know, when it's snowing out, I noticed there's those big salt trucks. You ever notice that? Yeah. Well, what are those salt trucks really doing? Well, of course, salt's going to melt ice, right? But does it ever fully melt the ice? Let's find out. All right, so here's my basic ice cube. You guys can have a colored one or one of these. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put some string on top of my ice cube here. I'm going to make almost like a little magic trick. You could probably do this trick when you are sitting with your family at dinner. We're going to take salt and sprinkle just a little bit of it on top of our string and our ice. Not a lot, just a little. And what's going to happen is that salt is really going to melt the ice, but it's not going to melt it fully. It's going to bring it down to that 0 degrees. But the fact is, salt needs other chemicals in order for it to fully work to melt this ice cube. What will happen is, yes, it's going to melt, but it's also going to refreeze a little bit around my string. And then by doing so, it will stick and attach. Imagine if you were to do that at your dinner during the holidays. Look, floating ice. Can you make this magic trick? Can you make your ice float? Try it out. Again, that was just sprinkling a little bit of salt. You barely melt the top of that layer of ice, and then it freezes around our string. Alrighty, let's bring it on back again. I hope you guys had fun with a couple of these experiments. We had frozen fun. Yes, exactly. And I hope to freeze you later. Thank you.
That's so awesome. And that looks like it's a lot of fun to mess around with. There's one interesting thing, because I know some kids and are going to look at this and go, wait a second. I thought that salt melted ice, but there's also salt in the ocean, and there are those big ice cubes in the ocean, those glaciers, and they don't melt. How did that work? So now hopefully this lesson with Miss Dajczak kind of taught you a little bit more about how it all works and how we don't end up with just giant ice cubes melting in the ocean all the time. So listen, there are going to be other lessons that are going to be put up throughout winter break. You definitely can check them out. You can always come back and watch this one too and do it as much as you want. If in fact you do end up doing this lesson with all the different colors and ice, or happen to do that little ice experiment and you want to share it with us, you can. Send it to our PA Virtual Facebook page or our Instagram page or our Twitter page, or you could simply email us the email that your parents got that explained all the instructions on how to do this. You can just email that back with a picture or a video or anything like that, and we'll make sure to share it on our social media as well and show everybody what you learned during winter break, that it wasn't just 2 weeks of just sitting back and forgetting everything you learned, that you kept the education going. So once again, I'm so happy you joined us. We're going to have more lessons coming up. You could always rewatch these as well. And most importantly, stay safe and enjoy your winter break. Bye, y'all.